Okay, we are back with a Big Brother special on the Missyae podcast. I've got last summer's champion with us to go over this summer's new cast. How are you doing, Ian?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Doing good. What do you think so far? I mean, we've heard a lot about this MVP thing, and they were teasing the biggest cast ever, and yet we end up with about the same number again.
I think the MVP thing's going to be an interesting shake on the game. These splits typically last for a few weeks, so yeah, it'll have a pretty big role, but only for a little while, I'm sure. And I guess the biggest cast ever. I guess they're counting Big Brother 9 as not really having 16 because a couple of them last year not having 16 because it started with 12. So
right.
I guess it's kind of a cheat to have the biggest cast ever, but I guess in their mind it is. So.
Yeah, a lot of fans thought with the participation of the viewers this year that maybe that was kind of what they meant by saying biggest ever, because actually the viewers are going to have a little say so in it. But I think you're right. I think it's just them kind of manipulating the numbers a little bit. Technically, they can say this is the biggest. So.
Right.
Are you gonna be keeping up with it pretty close? You gonna be watching the live feeds and everything?
Yeah, I'm taking a summer class, so I'm gonna be pretty busy this summer. But I'll watch live feeds when I have the chance.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, yeah.
All right. Let's get started. We'll just go down the list and we'll get your thoughts, and I'll toss in a few here and there on this summer's cast. We'll start off with Herren, Greece, I guess is her name. She's 22. Hometown is San Angelo, Texas, and now she lives in San Marcos. She's a college student. What do you think about her?
Well, when I first see the girl's picture, the first thing I thought was that she's like absurdly hot. She seems really cool. One thing though, I watched several interviews, and she said she would never ever throw a competition, which to me just that's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't expect a whole lot out of her gameplay wise. I don't think she's going to be a very good player. I could see her going a while just because she seems likable enough not to be targeted, but I don't expect much out of her game-wise.
Yeah, after, when I researched her a little bit, I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I think she can maybe stick around, maybe halfway, depending on what alliance she's in, but I don't see her being there at the end.
Me either.
Next we have Amanda Zuckerman. She's 28. She's a real estate agent from Long Island, now lives in Florida. What do you think about Amanda?
Yeah, when I first saw her videos and, read her bio, the first thing that stuck out to me was that she seems like a real go-getter. And I think that's going to be good in the Big Brother game to a certain extent. I could see her doing really well, actually. I have her finishing, around in the top 5 areas. So I think she's going to be a pretty good player.
Wow. That's one we're going to disagree on. She came off kind of pushy to me, like she can rub people the wrong way. But I agree. She's aggressive. I think she's going to go after it. So it may just kind of all depend on who she latches on to and tries to play with. Because she could burn out quick, or like you said, she could go a long way.
Yeah, I think that in Big Brother, it actually tends to be a good idea to be kind of aggressive and to really go for what you want, because I can think last year I definitely was a pushover at times, and it put my game in detriment when it really shouldn't have been if I just made a decision that I wanted instead of kind of being, a doormat for somebody else.
Right. All right, the first guy we've got is Andy Herren. He's 26 from Aurora, Illinois, now lives in Chicago. Says he's single and a professor. What did you think about Andy?
I really like Andy's chances.
I do too. He really stood out to me.
think this is another one of those that I would say is in our top 5 here. He seems to be a really intelligent guy. He kind of reminds me of a little bit more like a Reagan, except maybe he had a few cans of Red Bull. You know, he seems smart. I think he's going to do well. I'm expecting good things out of Indy.
Yeah, we agree on that. I think he's going to go pretty far too. It seemed like he had a good personality for being inside a house with a bunch of people for all summer. What do you think about Candace Stewart?
One thing I want to point out about Andy actually is that since he's a college professor, he's good working with young people, and this is a really, really young cast.
Yes, it is.
So that's a good thing for him.
Yeah. All right, Candace Stewart. She's 29 from New Orleans. Says she'll turn 30 later on this summer. She's living in Houston. She's a pediatric speech therapist. She's an ex-NFL cheerleader. When I researched her, I noticed that she had tons of followers and friends that were professional athletes. So she's probably competitive too.
Yeah, I think she's going to be really competitive. The only thing that kind of struck me is that she seems really nice and everything, but out of the whole set, she just seems to be really, really dry. And given this year's twist, where they're really trying to hammer it in that floaters aren't going to do well, I think she's not going to stand out much. And I think she could get labeled as a floater by the viewing public, and I think that could cause problems for her. Otherwise, she could float for a while, but I really don't expect. I don't really see her winning this game. I see her going for a while.
All right. Next one is our lifeguard, and he definitely seemed to be a lifeguard. He's 25, David Girton. He's single from San Diego. What did you think about David?
Now, David, at first I really didn't think there was much to it, because really from the picture and a couple of videos, you can't really tell, what kind of shape he's in. I mean, you obviously know he's in good shape, but you're not sure of how good shape. But I saw this video on YouTube where he tried out for the short-lived game show American Ninja Warrior. I mean, this guy is jacked. I mean, he was doing these crazy, monkey bar routines, going and doing these obstacle courses like it was nothing. So,
wow.
I'm thinking this guy is going to be great at the physical challenges. Mental, he'll run into some problems, but, I think he's going to do pretty well. I could see him going around early jury, I think is where we'll see him end up.
So it does his, the way you're labeling him like that, does it remind you of Shane any? Because a lot of people thought Shane was really, really good in challenges and endurance and stuff like that, but most of the fans didn't think he had a whole lot upstairs.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good analogy.
All right, let's move on to the castmate who has drawn the most attention so far. Elissa Slater. Of course, everyone knows this is Rachel Riley's sister. She's 27. She's from Concord, North Carolina, and she's a nutritionalist. They made sure on the interviews and stuff that she did her little impersonations of Rachel, and she sounded just like her and looked just like her. You think this is going to help her or really hurt her?
Yeah, this is a big problem for her if she doesn't play it off correctly. Just the fact she's related to somebody that won before makes her stick out like a sore thumb, which at the beginning you really don't want.
Right.
She's really just going to have to play it off as a joke. Like, she's going to just have to own it and do it in a joking manner, and I think she might be able to be all right. But something tells me she's not going to do that. If she tries to keep it secret, it makes it look like it's something that is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's going to happen, and I don't think things are going to bode well for her unless she gets the MVP status the first week.
Yeah, what do you think about that, the MVP status, with Rachel having between 85 and 100,000 followers on Twitter? She can pull in a lot of votes for her sister. You think that's going to help her along the way?
But see, the thing is, I mean, I don't know anybody besides Rachel and Brendan that are throwing votes towards Elissa right now. I mean, I know they're actively campaigning, but at the same time, Evil Dick has just as many followers as Rachel does, and he's actively campaigning for someone to get it. I'm actively campaigning for somebody else to get it. So, I think she's going to be one of the front runners to get the first MVP status, but I wouldn't be surprised if a couple others walked away with it. And I think we'll get to who I think is going to be the first MVP.
Okay. And back on the topic of how she's going to handle it in the House, because I know last summer, Willie going in, he had big plans about how to fool everybody, and he had he had a fake name. He was going to use the name Will Clark, and all of that stuff. And of course,
they have our names on the luggage tags. I can clearly see his initial was WH.
Yeah. So, and so you get in there, and things change so quickly. Don't you think it's probably better? Because people are going to tell by her voice and her looks. Don't you think she should just go ahead and come out and say who she is?
Oh, absolutely. She needs to say who she is, but in kind of a joking way. That's the best way to do it, because that way it plays it off like it's not a big deal. People won't think much of it. But if she tries to hide it and then it gets out, which it almost certainly will,
right?
People are going to think it's a big deal. Or if she gets everyone together in the living room and announces it, then that's even worse, because that makes it look like it's a big deal, and you should be trying to downplay it as much as possible.
Yeah, and another thing, a lot of these people, when you listen, a lot of them are Big Brother fans. Chances are they're going to already know her anyway from following her sister on Twitter or keeping up with Big Brother. So I think you're absolutely right. I think if I was her, that would be one of the first. I wouldn't make a big deal out of it. Like you said, I wouldn't make this big, huge announcement or anything. But in my conversations with other players, I think I just, hey, my sister's Rachel. I hope you don't hold that against me. Something like that.
Yeah. I'd say, play it off as a joke.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. All right, our next cast member is Gina Marie Zimmerman. She's 32, from Brooklyn. She's definitely got the New York accent. Lives at Staten Island now, and her occupation, what she's telling everybody, she's a pageant coordinator. I don't know how much of that she does, because when I researched her, I saw a lot of modeling experience.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well, and some interesting modeling experience at that.
Yeah, you got that right.
I will say, I'll say this, I can't see any fate for Gina Marie other than being the second person evicted. I mean, it just has to happen. It's fated in this world that the model will go second, and I think she's the model that's going to go second this year. She's, obviously she's a really attractive girl and everything, but nothing really stuck out to me as being a good player. I think she's going to, cause waves where she doesn't really need to cause waves, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her as the second one out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see her out first or second. It's kind of like Kara last year, and Kara was pretty popular. Everybody kind of liked Kara, but it's just I don't even see people liking this girl. I mean, like you said, she's very attractive. But to me, she strikes me as somebody that's going to let you know she's attractive. And I just, there's no way in the world she's going to get past, first three, evictions.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a problem for her. And I don't see the public giving her MVP power anytime soon. So
I don't want to either. But speaking of that MVP, the next person we're going to talk about, it's Helen Kim, and she's 37, so she's the oldest member of the cast. She comes across as very likable. She's from Falls Church, Virginia, lives in Chicago. She's a political consultant, which I think can help her because she's going to know how to handle both types of personalities. She might, with her being the oldest, fans may start flocking to her, don't you think?
Yeah, I actually really, really like Helen based on the interviews. I think she's going to do great things as long as she can get through the first few weeks where just being older is going to be a problem for her. I could see her being nominated in the first few rounds pretty easily, but as long as she stays and gets through those first few, I think we've got a great player on our hands. She seems really intelligent, well-spoken, and I definitely could see her being underestimated but doing great things in the end game. So,
yeah,
A+ for Helen.
Yeah, I think so too. She would be one of my early picks if someone forced me to say pick a winner. She would definitely be one of the ones I'd be strongly considering.
Same here.
All right. Next we have.
And she's my first pick for MVP as well.
I could see that happening. I could see that happening too. Next up, we have Howard Overby. He's 29 from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where Brett Favre played college football. He's a youth counselor. He's single. He's buff. He looks like he's not going to take any crap off anybody. What do you think about Howard?
You know, I actually really like Howard. The thing that concerns me is that he's strong, and I feel like he's going to let everybody know that he's strong, and that is a big problem going in there. So I am a little bit worried for him in the early goings. I could see him being out kind of early, but again, I feel like if he's someone that if he gets a veto early and he can save himself and he can kind of go under the radar a little bit after that, I could see him doing pretty good things.
Yeah, and with the cast being so young this summer, him being at 29, he's actually one of the older ones.
Yeah, and that's the other thing to note is the guys this year. There's a lot more that would fit the alpha male description this year. And with there being 3 nominees, it's not like there's a lot of room for them to hide. So I would definitely say we're going to be looking at probably one of the alpha males to, unless one of the other alpha males gets the first HOH, I would expect one of the alpha males to be the first one out.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with part 2 and get Ian's thoughts on the rest of the cast. Back with part 2. We've gone through about half the cast, and now, Ian, we are down to a guy that seems to be kind of a polarizing character with the fans already. Jeremy Maguire. He's 23 from Katy, Texas. He's single. Says he was a boat shop associate, and seems like he might be the type of guy that's going to get a lot of camera attention, a lot of confessionals, because he's going to always have something to say.
Yeah, Jeremy really, I hate saying this, but he screams the first boot of the season to me. He seems like kind of a hothead. Unless he gets HOH to the first veto, I don't see him doing pretty well. I saw pictures of him online. They surfaced on Survivor Success taking selfies of himself, obviously shirtless and grunting. It looked like he was trying to shit himself in the picture. I don't think it's going to go well for him. Not expecting great things out of Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think Jeff, on the interview on CBS.com, I think it took all Jeff had to not just start laughing at the guy.
Yeah, he seems really cocky. He's going to let everyone know he's strong, and that is not what you ought to do.
Yeah, and there's a couple of guys, one of them we're fixing to get to in a few minutes, but there's a couple of guys in here, and we just mentioned Howard, but we'll get to Judd in a minute. There's a couple of guys in here that are not gonna do well with a cocky young guy like that.
Right.
It could really stir up some trouble. So,
Agree.
next up is Jessie Kowalski. She's 25 from Beaumont, Texas, lives in San Antonio. Said it worked out pretty good because she's unemployed now and she's got the whole summer to win Big Brother. What did you think about Jessie?
Again, very similar to Aaron. I'm going to go out here and say that I think she's absurdly hot. I think we're going to see great things out of her, though. I could easily see her finishing in the top 4 or 5 people in this season. Really liking Jessie's chances. I think she seems like kind of a fun, bubbly personality that I would want to have around. And on top of it all, she seems a little bit bright. I could see her, I don't want to say super smart or anything, but she seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. And, I like her chances.
Yeah, I think she can at least make jury. I don't know that she can get to the end, but I don't think we're looking at an early eviction there with Jessie.
No, she just seems too likable. I mean, she just seems fun. I really would want Jessie around, and in the early weeks, that's actually really a big factor in who gets voted out. So,
Right.
yeah, and she's not going to be really seen as a huge threat in any way. So I could see her doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think I hate to use the term floater or flying under the radar, because someone like her can go in there and just be nice and kind of stay out of all the drama and the trouble, and the next thing you look up, you're at the jury point and there she is, and you've kind of forgotten about her.
Yeah, I could really see. I don't think she'll be too much of a floater, because to me, like a floater nowadays anyway, is just somebody who just actively has no interest in playing the game, doesn't do anything at all, just kind of sits like a bump on a log. No ability to win challenges, but I could see her throwing challenges and just making smart decisions for herself. I could see her just having a great social game. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up is a guy I mentioned a minute ago when we were talking about possibly some of the guys maybe having problems with each other. This guy's from Englewood, Tennessee. He's a property appraiser. He's 26, so he's kind of in the middle with the ages. Judd Daughtry. What do you think about Judd?
A++. I really like this guy's chances. He, to me, screams JT from Survivor.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, he is really seems like a great pick. I think he's my pick to win at this point. I really expect him to do very well. I don't think he's going to be targeted right off the bat like some of the other guys are, but I think that he's physically strong without really making it seem like he is, because he seems like such an affable and funny personality.
Right.
So I'm expecting great things.
Yeah, I think the things I picked up on him, of course, I'm kind of from around that area, and I'm used to that type of personality. He's going to be loyal in his alliance. He's if you get in trouble, he'll speak up for you, which will help him in his alliance. They'll want to keep him around. He's probably in good shape, and he's probably a smart guy, and I thought the exact same thing when I listened to his interview. I thought about JT and how likable JT was at the end and just swept the votes. This guy could be the same way. He could be so liked by his alliance that when he gets there, then it's smooth sailing.
Yeah, the only thing that did worry me was he did a little bit remind me of Brooke from Survivor of Vanuatu, but I think we're looking more at JT. So
Yeah. Brooke, the thing with Brooke, a lot of people didn't know about Brooke was such a avid Survivor fan too.
Oh, I know.
I mean, you know, when I first met him, and he said, you know, I can tell you every boot in every order and the votes of every season, and I was like, there's no way you can do that, and he just started rattling it off, and I'm like, good gracious.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think Judd is really similar. I think he's a big fan of the show, and you know, I think he could do well though.
Yeah, I think he will too, especially if he were to hook up in an alliance with a couple of other people that we've already mentioned, like Jessie, maybe Helen. They could really, really do some damage together. Maybe Andy.
I agree.
You know, that would be fun to watch. Next up, we've got Kaitlin Barnaby. She's 23. She's from Minnesota. She's a bartender, so she's used to dealing with a lot of people. She's used to being hit on. She's used to dealing with drunks. I mean, she, you know, social-wise, she should probably be pretty good, don't you think?
Yeah, you know, I try not to put too much stock into the occupation, but I could see that definitely being one that could be helpful. And, you know, she seems pretty decent. I mean, she's not a fan of the show. I think when her interview with Jeff, he asked if she was a fan, and I think she said she was a new fan.
Yeah, she sort of tripped over that question.
Yeah, she pretty much made it clear that she hadn't really watched the show. We do see people that haven't seen the program go right in and do very well. You know, but with her, I think that remains to be seen. I don't know that she's going to have the game savvy that she's going to need. And I think she'll be out right before jury, I could see.
Okay. Next up is Mccrae Olson. He's 23 from Oak Grove, Minnesota, and he's a proud pizza delivery boy, which I have no problem with. I mean, he likes what he does. You know, he probably makes good money doing it, making some tips. Had a pretty out there personality. Do you think that's going to help him or hurt him?
You know, I want to say I did a little bit of looking into this guy. He's a huge fan of the show. Found his Twitter. Apparently, he's in the past done a podcast called Balls Deep Big Brother. So he's a big fan of the show. And, you know, I could see him doing really well. He seems pretty smart. I think he's going to be able to downplay, you know, his strength. He's going to say he's going to play up how weak he is.
Right.
He's not going to be targeted because of that. You know, maybe he might have a tough time fitting in early, but he just seems like a really chill guy, and I could see him doing pretty well.
Yeah, and out of the guys in this cast, he seems to be one of the ones that he's not going to be one of the big buff bodies. He's not going to be like a physical threat like that. So they may tend to want to keep him around.
Yeah, I could definitely see him doing really well. Just for that reason, I could see him going definitely to the jury stage.
Yeah. All right, we got two guys left. First one is 28-year-old Nick Uhas from Hilliard, New York. says he's an entrepreneur. What did you think about Nick?
You know, at first I was not really into Nick. I didn't think anything of him. Wasn't too big of a fan. Kind of thought he was annoying. But you know, the more and more I looked at things, the more and more I started to like him. I noticed he said Mike Boogie was his favorite contestant. That's great because that shows to me that he understands that it's a game and he understands how the game works.
Right.
He can recognize Mike Boogie's talent for it.
Right.
And also his answer to what would you do if Big Brother made you famous, I got a really hearty laugh out of that. So I really think that he's going to be someone that's entertaining to watch if he can stick around.
Now, is he
probably not.
Is he the one? There's one guy, I don't know if it's him or another one, that has been actively tweeting, so it has to be someone doing their account for them. Was it his account? Have you noticed that?
I think it's someone running his account for him,
Yeah.
I think it's him.
So he may have gotten lucky with this twist about the MVP having someone out there actively running his Twitter for him could help him.
It could. I don't think he's going to be pulling in big numbers just yet, but he's someone that if he gets through the first couple of evictions, I could see him being surprisingly popular.
Yeah.
You know, again, it took me a little while to warm up to him, but I already think he's really funny. And the other thing I want to point out is you mentioned that 3.925 biology GPA from Yale, I believe.
That's
so,
good.
Obviously, that's really good. And the thing that implies to me, if I see biology and I see 3.925, he's going to be very, very good at memorizing and regurgitating facts. And in the end game, that's really all you need.
Yeah.
We saw last year. So he could go on a comp run. I could see him doing very well as long as he's not the first or second out.
Right. Yeah, that could definitely benefit him towards the end. We got one guy left. He's from my home state, Brittany's home state, Kathy's home state, Amy's home state. Big Brother likes Arkansas, I think.
Really?
Spencer Clausen is 31. He's from Conway, Arkansas, a railroad conductor. I'm sure you probably know this, but a lot of other people may not. Natalie White, who won Survivor, she went to college at UCA in Conway. Chris Allen, who upset Adam Lambert on American Idol, same college there in Conway. And here comes Spencer from Conway, and you got the guys from Duck Dynasty who went to college there in Conway. So that little, it's not a really big city. They crank out some very good players on these reality shows.
Yeah, I think that Spencer's going to be interesting to watch. I could see him making jury. Do I think he's a winner? You know, he doesn't stick out to me as a winner right off the bat, but I think he could do pretty well. He's got some longevity in him. I don't see him being targeted. He doesn't seem overtly threatening right off the bat. So, yeah, I think he's going to do all right.
Yeah, I think he'll do okay. And I'm like you. I don't see him winning. Even if he were to get that far, he doesn't strike me as someone who would handled the jury questions very well. So I think the highest he could hope for in the end would be if he were second or third, maybe something like that. But he's likable. He'll probably get along really, really good with Judd, who we said would go far. So if he latches on to Judd and their little Arkansas, Tennessee, Southern alliance, he could go a long way.
Oh, he really could. I think that I definitely think we'll be seeing him stick around for a while.
Okay. All right. That's the whole cast. Now, we've talked a little bit about the other twists and stuff. What do you think if you were in this cast and they hit you with this MVP thing? What would be your first thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be particularly happy with it because, I would like to play, a pure game if I'm in there. Obviously, the less variables there are, the better off it, the easier it is to kind of figure out. So, it's a whole other layer of complexity to the game. And, you would have to adapt your strategy. You definitely can't just float by. You have to look like you're actively doing something. And early on, floating is a pretty optimal strategy. So it does change things.
And in trying to get that MVP, you've got to pay even more attention to how you're presenting yourself in your diary room confessionals too, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you can't just sit there and be boring. You have to be trying to actively make jokes. You have to be, reasonably funny. Make yourself endearing to the public, which I think for a lot of people is just naturally not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's going to be bad for them. The other thing is we don't know exactly what the scope of the MVP's power is yet. So a lot of times in Big Brother, you would like to not have to make a stand or make any decision early on. You typically don't want to win an early HOH. You typically don't want to win vetoes, but you don't have to because it will make someone on the block angry with you that you don't use it. And, it tends to get messy for you. So if you're just getting voted a power that you have no control over whether you get it or not, and you don't really need it, that could be more harm than good.
Right. I've seen a lot of speculation all over the internet about what this power might be and all of that. One of the things that I thought about was if, they're coming up with the 3 nominee thing, what if it's something just as simple as the MVP's able to remove one of them?
That's my inclination as well.
Yeah, and like you were saying just a minute ago, you don't want all this attention on you early. If you're the MVP and you're removing somebody from that block, you're showing your cards kind of early in the game.
Exactly. That's why I say, it might not be such a good thing.
Yeah. So once they see what that power is, then we'll, like you said, we'll see the players have to adapt their games and see what happens with it. At this time last year, all right, they're having the premiere Wednesday. Did you guys go in on a Sunday night maybe?
We went in Saturday.
Saturday?
They moved in Friday.
Okay.
I believe. I have several reasons to believe they moved in Friday. One, apparently, I believe one site, forget which one, posted a picture of the door into the front yard from the outside of the studio lot, and it said, rumor is they're moving into the 16 people are going to walk through this door in a few hours.
Right.
Last one out gets $500,000.
Right.
And on Facebook, I believe I saw someone on production or something with production. Someone said, have a great load-in, and that was on Friday.
Right.
So I believe they moved in Friday.
Yeah, I was told by somebody that's usually pretty spot on with stuff on Big Brother. I was told Friday that was the day they were moving in. So if we're right about that, they're going to be in there with Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, about almost 6 days before we actually see them. So there's going to be a lot of jockeying going around right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, let's think about it. I mean, they moved in Friday. This is already day 3. So HOH, somebody's already sleeping upstairs.
Right.
We know that they're probably doing a have or have not competition tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe even today. If it's like my season, it'll be tomorrow. So they'll have that, and then we should be having nominations on Tuesday. So
yeah, we got a lot of catching up to do Wednesday on the premiere, and then with the live feeds after that. It should be a lot of fun, though. I think it's going to be a good summer. I don't know that it'll top you guys because you had some good returnees, and of course you were a great winner. So they got to go a ways to beat last summer, but they got a chance.
yeah, I think this cast seems like one of the better ones that I've seen in a while. Really excited about it. Really looking forward to watching. I think the house this year looks great. Definitely one of the better houses I've seen. Doesn't make much difference viewing-wise, but I think it's one of those cool things.
Yeah.
I think this cast has potential. I think there are a few people in it that could be really good players. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. That's going to about wrap it up. Maybe we'll do this maybe at the halfway point or close to the end and kind of see how we looked either dumb or smart with our picks.
Yeah, close to the end would be pretty good for me.
All right, well, let's do that. Thanks for doing the show, Ian. You are enormously popular in Whispers.